Hi, I'm Scarlett Johnson, and I'm with Moms for Liberty in Wisconsin. And I wanted to talk about a story that is so compelling and so serious that I needed to film this even while I am on vacation for one more day before I return back to Wisconsin and start to do a lot more work in the last leg of the election. And if you don't know this, April 1st, there are nonpartisan elections in Wisconsin that are very, very important. And this is involving school board candidates, a lot of local offices, and a state Supreme Court race that is very important in Wisconsin, and also a state superintendent race, which is very, very important in Wisconsin. Right now, there is early voting happening. Early voting is until March 28th, and you can go to My Vote. You could go to any local. If you're conservative, go to your state Wisconsin Republican Facebook page. Go to their X account. Go to their webpage. There are many ways in which you can find out where to vote. And actually, I will post the link to where you could find where your voting area is at the when this is posted to X and all the social media accounts. I'll be sure that I have that link. So know that you can go vote early in-person absentee voting, and that is what we're highly recommending. But you can also vote on April 1st. That's Tuesday, April 1st, and that is the last opportunity you'll have to vote. This is a traditionally a low turnout election, so the more that we can turn out, we on Team Sanity, the greater likelihood that we can prevail. And boy, do we need to prevail. And one issue that I think is just not talked about enough, and so I really need to talk about it, is what's happening in regards to this effort by the crazy people to put boys in girls' bathrooms, boys in girls' locker rooms, boys in girls' shower areas. And we have all heard, if you've been paying attention, about what's happening in Illinois, in Deerfield, where there is a brave mom. Her name is Nicole, who is standing up and fighting back when her middle school daughter and a whole bunch of middle school girls in Deerfield, Illinois, were forced to change in front of a biological male, where administrators said they absolutely have to do it or they'll fail the class. And they were yelled at and they were told, you have to do this, even though they were afraid and they did not want to do this. And it went so far that there were school staff that stood by the doors so that the girls couldn't leave. They had to change. This is insane. It's such a shocking story that it's gone completely viral. And Nicole has been on just about every conservative talk show in America. Rightfully so. This is just so outrageous. And of course, Governor Pritzker, like Trickster, he has invested millions and millions of dollars in Wisconsin, trying to turn Wisconsin as blue and as insane as Illinois. And he's invested millions into the state Supreme Court race and into our DPI race, as we call it in Wisconsin, our Department of Instruction. And that's basically our state superintendent. And right now in Wisconsin, our state superintendent is Jill Underly. Jill Underly, who says pronouns save lives. Jill Underly, who is so consumed with DEI that she doesn't care whether or not Wisconsin children read. Our most latest scores, the NAEP scores that came out, called the nation's report card, that tells parents and tells teachers and tells everyone in the state of Wisconsin, hey, how are we doing? How well are we educating children? Well, in Wisconsin, we get an F. We get an absolute F for failure, because only 5% of Black children in Milwaukee can read at grade level. 5%. That is shocking. To me, that is what is really racist. It's racist to not educate children that are Black and brown. It is racist to force them into schools that aren't performing, and then to claim that using DEI, you are somehow going to be able to rectify that problem. When in fact, the more that Jill Underly digs into DEI, the more money we spend, the more billions of dollars we throw at failed diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that are just insane. And if you follow me, you've seen the many ways that I have recorded that. All that has done has made things worse for kids, whether they are Black, whether they're brown, whether they're white, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't even be that should not be our focus. The color of our skin should not be our focus. But as they always try to center that narrative, it's what they have shown is how little they care about Black children in Wisconsin and Hispanic children. And I am Hispanic. I grew up in Milwaukee. I thankfully was able to get out of MPS, Milwaukee Public Schools, in middle school and attend private schools, all because of the charitable donations from people in my community that basically I was allowed to attend very good schools, and that saved my life. It turned my whole world around. I was the first college graduate, not just the first, I was the first college graduate. I was also the first high school graduate. You know, I was accepted to law school. All of this happened because I was given this life raft. I was given the opportunity of a good quality education. And I am so grateful for that. And that is why I'm so passionate about education, because education can change the trajectory of a child's life. They will not be a statistic. They instead can succeed beyond their wildest dreams, and then their children have a path for success. So it's really important. It's important to not say that you care about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and basically just have this woke, crazy curriculum in which you're talking about feelings and not dealing with the fact that phonics works, teaching kids how to read the science-based way, the way that works, providing content that is age appropriate and is inspiring for children instead of this age inappropriate sexual conduct focused on, actual like sex, genitalia, and gender identity for little kids. It's not working. It's not working, and it's wrong. So first of all, it's immoral. And second, it's not even working. So it's time to scrap all of that and vote for someone like Brittany Kinzer, who is a Democrat, who an independent and isn't political, but she has, we support her because she is sane, because she cares about education, because she's invested in the science of reading, because she has been successful in teaching the most underprivileged children how to read and how to achieve success. And she rejects woke ideology. She rejects all the garbage that has been in Wisconsin classrooms in the name of diversity, equity, inclusion. I mean, listen, when you've got a gender studies degree, what else are you going to do other than be some DEI consultant? Okay. Listen, if you've been to college and you've seen the types of people that are gender studies majors, you get it. Okay. I don't have to say much more. You got a degree in gender studies. You're not exactly at the top of the food chain in college. So I think that you get low quality people that don't care about education. And frankly, when you read their dissertations and when you attend their training sessions like I have, I am appalled that they call themselves doctor every time. Their grammar is horrific. They can't speak well. They don't write well. And yet they claim to be doctors and experts in teaching our kids how to read. No thanks, hard pass. So I'm veering off because I want to talk about what's happening in Westosha, Wisconsin. Westosha, which is a conservative area, Westosha, which is an area which Trump won in 2020, 2024, yet it is bogged down in woke ideology in a crazy way. And so I'm going to share my screen and talk about this really quick. Again, I just feel like it's not talked about enough. I was able to go on Vicki McKenna last week and discuss this, which I'm so grateful for. Shout out to Vicki. But this just isn't in the news enough. There's so much going on. And I just feel like I, as much as possible, I need to spread the word about this story because it's really, really important in considering we can vote right now. So we can vote to end this insanity. So, and here's my post I put out today that just said vote early, vote today, everything that I had mentioned. So, Westosha, Wisconsin, a boy, 16-year-old boy, okay, 200 pounds, a man is allowed to change in the girls' locker room at Westosha Central High School in Wisconsin. The reporter who broke this story in December is with Kenosha Eye, and he did a great job. And actually, I was so shocked when I heard about this, when I was alerted by parents of what was happening in Westosha, that I had to investigate this myself because I couldn't believe it. It was hard to believe. I'm like, is this for real? Yeah, it's for real. This boy was staring at the young girls while they changed. Okay, so before PE, the girls have to change out of their street clothes into their PE clothes. So this boy was going in there, this boy who identified as trans, okay, was going in there watching the young girls. These are freshman girls, okay, 13, 14 years old, while they change, exposing his genitalia and rubbing himself with lotion. It is alleged that he told the girls that the lotion was to prevent chafing. This is shocking, absolutely shocking. But wait, it gets worse. When the boy repeatedly went nude in the presence of girls, exposing his genitals, the freshman girls complained to their gym teacher, who told the girls that since the 16-year-old boy who identifies as a girl is trans, it would be discriminatory to deny him access. So the girls were told, just use the gender non-conforming bathrooms, basically the gender neutral bathrooms that they had installed. There's only a couple. They were told, the girls, the biological girls were told, go use the gender neutral bathrooms. So what are these gender neutral bathrooms? Okay, what are they? I'll tell you what they are. These gender neutral bathrooms are really now made for the so-called cisgender girls to hide from the boys that are invading their space. That wasn't the intent, was it? That wasn't the intent, but that's the reality. Next, gets even worse. There's a family locker room. Like I said, there's a family locker room, a gender nonconforming space that the girls started to use to escape the trauma of a boy staring at them as they change. Guess what happens next? The girls are told, you can't use that space anymore. Can't use that space anymore because they were late to attend PE class and because there weren't enough stalls for the girls to change in. So there's not enough private areas for the girls to change in. So they were late for class. They were getting marked absent. This is crazy. They were given poor grades. Again, crazy. So the girls were punished because they didn't want to change in front of this boy. Like, have these people no shame? Have they no decency? It's crazy. Again, it gets worse. The girls are told that to stop stirring up drama, to stop being dramatic. Just go along with it. That's what the girls are told. You're being dramatic because they don't want to change in front of a 16-year-old boy who is leering at them. With nowhere to change, they just stopped changing. These brave girls just started to go to gym class in their street clothes. Guess what happens? The school punishes them by giving them unexcused absences. This is crazy. When I first talked about this, I said lawsuits should be filed. And good news, they were. So lawsuits were filed. The parents of Wisconsin girls who were bullied into changing in front of the 16-year-old male who identified as trans have filed a Title IX lawsuit. Thankfully, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has agreed to file this lawsuit, to file this Title IX complaint. Thank God for WILL. That's the abbreviation. And I'm going to share my screen again. It is unacceptable for a male to be allowed in a locker room with these female students. The worst part is the response from the staff and the administrators who are forcing the girls to either change in front of a boy or face consequences such as being yelled at and screamed at, demeaned, and punished with a failing grade. And here you can see this is part of the lawsuit documents where the girl is texting her parents saying, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to be there. Basically, I don't want to be in this change room with this boy. It's scaring her. And you can see this is Exhibit A. But when she tried to hide and escape from changing in front of this boy, she was yelled at. She was bullied by teachers telling her, go in, go change, just do it. That's not right. It's just not right. And due to the anxiety about the locker room and the long waits for private stalls, one of the complainants, Jane Doe 2, and her friends sought guidance from their gym teacher, like I talked about before. This teacher told them that to prevent the male student from using the girls' locker room was considered bullying. We need better adults. We need better policies. We need better school board members. We need a better state superintendent, and we need a better judge sitting on the Wisconsin State Supreme Court who will support and protect our girls, who is sane, who isn't a former lawyer for Planned Parenthood and for a Madison teachers unions like Susan Crawford. If a case like this were brought before Susan Crawford, we know exactly who she's going to side with. She's going to side with the 16-year-old male exposing his genitalia and rubbing lotion on himself, because that is what her ideology tells her she must do. That is what the donors who she receives money from tell her she must do, and she will do as she's told. We cannot allow someone like that. We cannot allow another woke crazy woman on our state Supreme Court. It's just terrible. This should be the issue that you're willing to just fight for. People always say the hill that you're willing to die on. If this isn't your hill, you don't have a hill, frankly, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Again, I talked more about, this is just some evidence here you can see. Jane Doe 1, here is the evidence where she received the unexcused absences and the evidence of a failing grade. So again, punished for not wanting to change in front of a man who is leering, who is what I think sexually harassing her. Okay, just because he gets to use the word trans. Trans somehow is the flag he gets to wrap himself around as he disrobes in front of girls. That is wrong. It's wrong. Absolutely wrong. We cannot tolerate it. Here are the emails that parents sent, continually complaining, asking that something be done. They were told, they were gaslit, surprise, surprise, told something will be done. Nothing was done. It's insane. And so the parents were gaslit, and then a mass email goes out saying, nothing to see here, nothing's happening. But clearly there was, because you can see in the lawsuit documents, there was a lot happening. The parents were being told that, oh, we're going to deal with this. And then some parents are told, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing's happening. All because this administration just does not have the guts to stand up and say what's right. And what's right is this boy can go into the gender neutral space that is available to him. Okay, calling yourself a girl doesn't make you a girl. Being a woman isn't all about makeup and growing your hair out and throwing on a skirt. Okay, woman face is disrespectful and it should not be tolerated. You don't just get it. Being a woman isn't a performative act, it is a biological fact. And we need to stand up as women and fight for ourselves and fight for our daughters. And that more people aren't doing this blows my mind. And maybe because you don't think it's happening, but it's happening. It's happening. Why else would there be this Title IX lawsuit? Why else? It's happening across the border, not far away in Illinois, where middle school girls are now, there's lawsuits being filed in Illinois. Thank goodness. America First is going to be defending Nicole and her daughter, and hopefully lots of other parents. It's going to take lawsuits, but it's going to also take voting. Okay, yes, Trump won. I was part of that effort. I am so grateful for President Trump. I am so grateful for his executive orders. I am so grateful for Linda McMahon and our new Department of Education. And I know that this is a process, though. And if we don't have the people in place in our state, they are going to thwart President Trump every which way they can. This is an 80% issue, okay? There's a tiny group of people that say, yeah, put a boy in the girls' bathroom. First of all, I don't think that they have daughters. I also think that these are people whose children are identifying as trans and non-binary. So these are parents that have a dog in the fight. They aren't thinking clearly. There's a lot of activists, but what they don't have are a lot of moms and dads of actual biological girls. And because if you are a parent of a biological girl and you haven't lost your mind, you absolutely don't want a boy watching your daughter change, making her feel uncomfortable, rubbing lotion on themselves. And there are even allegations that this boy threatened to shoot up the school. There are allegations that this boy has thrown the Chromebook of a girl who called him out and said, hey, like basically referred to the fact that please don't bring your genitalia out. Like, we don't want to see it. And there's allegations that this boy threw her Chromebook against the wall and broke it to pieces. There are lots of girls that say they felt bullied and intimidated verbally by this boy. So those are all allegations. But in my opinion, I think that those are very credible allegations. And, I've talked to a lot of important people in Westosha and to the reporter just the local reporter, former police officer that was willing to kind of tell the truth. And I believe that the girls, I side with the girls, and the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty has looked into this case, and they are taking this case. They believe it's credible, and there are two parents and two girls that have gone forth, and they're willing to go all the way, and I'm so proud of them. And they are not talking to the media right now, which is wise, but that's why I am speaking up for these parents and about this case, because they can't right now. So I just want everyone across the country to know what's happening. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I want everyone across the country. I want everyone in Wisconsin. Please follow me on X, and you can read all of this in detail at Scarlet #4 Kids. Or you can go also to the Will X site where they have a lot of this information. And you'll see that this is absolutely credible. Please follow Moms for Liberty. I also I work with National Moms for Liberty, and a lot of stories like this and others across the country. Okay, you don't have to look to California. You just need to look in your own backyard. It's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. So we have to be vigilant everywhere. And in Wisconsin in particular, where we have a Democrat governor that is going to do everything in his power to make sure that this woke, crazy agenda continues. So, although we've got a Republican Assembly and Republican Senate, we've got a governor that just is going to defy President Trump at every turn. So that is something we can deal with next year. This year, we could vote for Brad Schimmel for state Supreme Court. We could vote for Brittany Kinzer for state superintendent, and we could vote for Moms for Liberty endorsed school board candidates and make the change at the local level where it is so important. So find out if your chapter of Moms for Liberty endorses or who they recommend. Because some candidates don't want an endorsement because there are crazy people like Minocqua Brewing Company that are putting out like fatwas against Moms for Liberty candidates and Moms for Liberty members like myself, receiving death threats and having to get the sheriff's office in our counties to protect us at events. This is how bad it's getting. So everything that they say about us, everything that the left says, just remember it's projection. They're really talking about themselves. We are peaceful. We are normal. We are sane. We are fighting for kids. They are crazy. They are insane. They do crazy things. They say crazy things. They say violent things. They provoke violence. And they try to put that on Moms for Liberty. It's not the truth. It's a lie. And just do a little digging and you'll see that. We're just trying to live our lives, but they won't let us. They won't let us because Marxists are revolutionaries, and they're just this whole gender stuff. It's a cult. It's just a cult. These are cult members, and you only need to know this when the simple fact that the so-called gender neutral bathrooms that were supposed to be the solution to the problem are now the place where biological females are running to hide from the so-called trans women. There's no such thing as a trans woman. That's a boy. That's a boy who has male genitalia. A boy with a penis ain't no woman, okay? That's just a fact. There's biological reality, and I'm on Team Sanity. And I hope that you vote for Team Sanity. That is my fervent wish. I have 5 children in Wisconsin, and I'm trying to protect them. I ask you to join me in protecting our girls, protecting our boys, protecting all children. Thank you very much. And get out there and vote. Vote like a mom, okay? Voting is how we make the change. Thank you. Bye, everybody.